Hi guys, welcome back to Posy Adventures. We're here today, we're at Buller, at the dog show grounds in Buller. Tanya is doing a dog show at the moment, so I'm here sitting with the van. We've been here since Thursday night and we're going home tomorrow, which is Monday. But I've been doing a little bit of watching YouTube and also a little bit of having a look at Facebook, and there's been some comments on Facebook about Starlink, people asking whether or not it's worth the expense, whether it's worth the money. And what I thought I would do, as we've been using Starlink for over a year now, is just give a little bit of input into that as to what our opinion is on it. Now, we went with Starlink. We live up in the Brisbane Ranges in Victoria, and we went with Starlink because we had no real other option. The 4G, there was no 5G there. The 4G network was very weak. We did have Sky Muster. Sky Muster was also exceedingly slow and quite expensive and also capped. So we went with Starlink, and our experience has been over the last 12-13 months of pretty stable. We've probably only had 2 outages and they've only been an overnight one. Other than that, yeah, sometimes the connection drops out for a second, but it's never for long. And to be honest with you, our conditions up there with trees are probably less than ideal, but the speed that we're getting there is usually somewhere between 90 and 200 megabits a second. Plenty good enough to stream videos and do what we want to do with it. The other advantage, which is an added advantage for us, is that we can take it with us when we travel or go away in the van. It costs us $34 to add portability to it a month, and that can be cancelled as soon as you don't need it. So ours is a home-based setup, but we add portability as and when we require it. Now, you can buy RV. Now, the RV, just so that people know, is exactly the same unit. It isn't 12 volt or anything like that. It's exactly the same unit that the residential ones use, at this stage anyway. The only difference with RV is it's slightly more expensive. I believe it's about $174 or $179 a month. But with RV, you can pause the service. And of course, if you pause the service, it's not going to cost you anything for the months that you pause it. Currently, Starlink is available for $450 for all the hardware, and then you get 2 months free service as well, and that includes RV. So if you buy it and you're using it on RV, you get $279 services, monthly services free. So I mean, really good value for money. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spin the camera around and just show you what is involved in Starlink, so that you know what you need, how it works, and give you some idea as to what Starlink is all about. Okay, so this is my Starlink setup, which is basically, I've got a telco antennas pole into a telco antennas pole holder on the back of my bar. And then what I've done is I've taken the telco antennas pole was bought because we had a MIMO antenna for our 4G M2 Nighthawk. So it wasn't really bought for the Starlink, but we've used it for Starlink. And all I've done is I've slid out the center 2 poles. So I've just got the main pole and I've slid out the center 2 poles. And I've gone to Bunnings and I've got some gow tubing. I think it's 25mm gow tubing. And what I've done is I've just slid that in, that fits perfectly, and then I've welded a Bunnings table leg to the end of it, which is the right size for my Starlink to clip into. And all I've done is I've put a couple of rubber O-rings on it, so that it's a nice snug fit into the actual tubing. And that's my Starlink setup. Doesn't need to be too high, and it needs to be above the height of the van. So yeah, as you can see, it was about 1 foot higher, 2 foot higher than the van. And this position is actually less than ideal because there's a lot of trees all the way around. In actual fact, this tree, look, you can see, if I can get back far enough, that the trees are actually pretty close to Starlink. So, and you'll see that my Starlink dish is almost flat. and that's because it's adapted itself to pick up the satellites. Obviously, it's pretty good. Starlink will actually adapt itself as you go, so that's pretty good. But right now the speed we're getting somewhere around 90 megabits a second, so yeah, pretty good. So the next thing is, what do you need to run it? It's got one cable goes up into the bottom of the dish, and we've got it running down the pole down onto the floor. It's a long cable, so it's just got it in a coil, and then we've got it running up, and we got it just chucked straight into our window here. I'll go into the van and I'll just show you what the setup is inside. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Okay, so obviously as we're at a dog show, there's a lot of clutter inside this van, so you'll have to excuse that. Okay, so cable comes in through the window, and then this is your router, and into the bottom of the router you've got the cable from outside, which is this one, and the power lead. Power lead comes along, and we've just got it straight into a small pure sine wave inverter, and this one is a Dometic MSI 412, and that one's a 350, if you can get it to focus, 350 watt pure sine inverter. And then that's just 12 volt powered. All we do is we power that through a Anderson socket. So there you go, that's the Starlink setup. Okay, so hopefully that's been of some use to you guys, seeing what Starlink is, what's it all about, costs involved. Really the decision I guess you have to make is, if you're planning on traveling, you've got a couple of options: sat phone or Starlink, really, the main ways of going. If you're going to be relying on a 4G or a 5G phone, there's going to be quite a few areas if you're traveling in Australia where you're not going to have any coverage. Now you do have to be careful, you do have to be aware that areas which have got a high tree cover are going to affect your connection, but we've not once found yet that there's anywhere where we can't get a connection. Sometimes it's just a little bit broken up. So it's still going to allow you to communicate. You might have problems with streaming videos in really well overcast areas. Anyway, if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out, please give us a like, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.